You know, you and I are about to have a conversation for the next hour that really some of you may not want to have. And it's a grim reality that we have to face at this point in time. You are 2-0. By the way, how you like our new mascot? It's Finley. Hey, Finley. Hey, Blakey. Anyways, I better go put him in before I get in trouble. I'll be right back, guys. But it's a grim reality that we are going to have to face. That for the next possibly several weeks, starting this week, starting with next week, you are on upset alert. That is saying a lot, knowing what you have done in the past, what you have done as a whole. Guys, the bottom line is this, though. You're going into a sticky situation when Vanderbilt comes to town. I get it. 17 straight wins at Vandy. It's great. That dog don't hunt at the end of the day whenever it comes to the future of what you have right now that's in front of you. The fact that you're going to go into a situation with a lot more questions that you have right now than answers. You know, we're going to dissect the film. We're going to talk about Vandy's offense. And this is going to be a conversation that all right, hell of a way to start the show. Am I back? Those of y'all that are in the chat, hey, y'all do me a favor. How is the connection there? Are we good? If you're in the chat, give us a like. It doesn't matter where you are, whether you're watching us on Twitter, Instagram, whatever it is. Make sure. Hey, are we good? Are we good? I'm about to pull up the feed right now on the sphere. It looks like we are officially good. All right. I apologize for that, guys. I did not intend for any of that to happen, but that's what you get when you're not in the home base. That's okay, though. But anyways, guys, we are good. Thank you so much, Tristan. All right. We are live, guys. This is South Carolina Live here at the Voice of College Football. I am your host, as always, Lucas Hill. Everybody do us a favor. Hit the like, share, and subscribe button if you're watching us on YouTube. Make sure you turn on the bell notifications so that you are notified every time we post a new video or go live or post a new short. If you are watching us on Twitter, hit that repost button. Tell 5 South Carolina friends around you that we are active and live. We're going to be diving into a lot tonight, and I think it's time and after reviewing the film from this past Saturday, I took down a couple notes of what we saw on Saturday. But first, before we get into this, I want to talk about the 3-game stretch that South Carolina has had dating back to when Mike Shula took over play calling in the Cheez-It Bowl last year. In that stretch, offensive line has been inconsistent. You have allowed 8 sacks. You have a 40% third down completion when, in retrospect, when you first look at it, it's not terrible. It's not good. It's not that bad, though. But if you look at the last 2, take away the Cheez-It Bowl. You look at the last 2, you have a 29% percentage of being efficient on third down. That's horrible, guys. That is absolutely ass water and horrible. There is no way that you are going to win a football game and have that affect you and have that be your mantra up front. That's BS. That's bad. You cannot afford for that. You cannot allow for something like that to be your Achilles heel on the offensive line. During that 3-game stretch, you have had only 323 yards per game. On the ground, you've averaged just 3.5 yards per carry. You have had 7 penalties per game, most of which have been pre-snap penalties on the offensive line. You got to get fixed up there. And that's dating back to last year when even when this offensive line wasn't as good, you had some experience and they were playing their best ball up to that point. Those little things need to get fixed. Really, these should have been fixed weeks ago. Knowing that you have these pre-snap penalties that are killing your drives, that are killing your momentum. Last week, whenever I looked at the film, special teams played a big role. Not only did it help you at the end of the day, it generated 14 points off of it. It also pinned your offense back inside the 10, not once, not twice, not 3 times, but 4 different freaking times. So I don't know what the deal is with that. I don't know what. Sometimes on punt return, you're fine, but as a whole, the fact that field position that plays such a huge role in games like that, you get pinned inside the 10, guys. South Carolina State did a really efficient job of pinning you all the way back inside your own, almost inside your own, inside around the 10-yard line. You had 4 drives of that, guys. 4 straight drives that you started at the 10-yard line or back further. You cannot have that. You have had 3 different offensive lineman personnel starting offense. Well, 3 different lineups in 4 halves of football this year. Most of it, the first one, believe it or not, was the one that took me over the edge whenever it was Rodney Newsome that started at left guard. Well, he got pulled after that first half. And in comes, I think it wasn't Shed because he was still injured throughout that week. You guys are going to have to help me out with that one. I think it might have been, oh no. That might have 58. Dadgummit, who was number 58? We're going to find out real fast. I'm pretty sure I know who it is, and I'm going to freaking Marquis Anderson. Yeah, Marquis Anderson came in, I think, for Rodney Newsome at that point in time. But right now, this is what your offensive line looks like. And then the first half, you had Kason Henry and JT right now starting at tackle. You had Trevon Ball, Boaz Stanley, and Shed Surratt that were starting at guard and center. Guys, you got to move Shed Surratt out to tackle. And if you don't, I would make a personnel change and either move Shed to tackle and move Jatavius Shivers out to guard, or I put Jatavius Shivers out at tackle and I'd move Shed Surratt into the interior. Guys, you got to get – it's either that or I put Tree Babalade out at tackle in place of JT and leave Shed Surratt out at guard. I mean, that's to me the reasonable place where I would have those three, because it's just incredibly ridiculous that you have this bad of a start on the offensive line. You got to find consistency. Lonnie Teasley has to know that the last dating back to the first half of last year, offensive line development has been pretty bad. He has to know that he is very close to being fired if Beamer actually does pull the plug. Mike Shula has not performed well and has not called good games through 3 games. You've averaged just under 20 points per game the last 3 games. When you have a Heisman contender at quarterback, when you have a backfield that is stacked, when you have a receiving core that is deep, and you're being held back by your offensive line, that's a problem. In 3 games, Lenora Sellers, I think, has like just under 50 yards rushing. That is incredibly bad. Incredibly bad. So you're just putting your quarterback at a disadvantage because of how your offensive line has been developing and how your play calling whenever you get to the opposite side of the 50 and you essentially piss down your leg. You get conservative and you get try to get cute with play calling. You try to run draw between your guard and your guards, and they get their ass handed to, and they get basically pushed around up front. You cannot have that, guys. That is what is killing you offensively. It's really bad play calling. It's really, really bad personnel with what Lonnie Teasley has done with that offensive line. So I until I see something change, I don't know what you're going to get this weekend when you play Vanderbilt. I don't know. Let me get to a couple of you guys' comments, because my boy Halo Master 96 who's a pretty active listener to the show, so we appreciate his support. Cox have played questionably in 2 wins. I'll take them, but I'm adjusting my over/under on wins to 6.5. Yeah, because I think they were 7.5 to start the season, I believe. Shula has never performed well. No, not since he came back to college. Teams will also put a scout on Sellers, and if we can't run, we are toast. Yeah, that's why I say that it starts and ends with the line of scrimmage, man. I say that every week. And for those of you that listen to the show every week, the number one thing that I say is that it starts and ends with the line of scrimmage. And so far, you've had a 50% performance. Defensive line-wise, you've been pretty astronomically better than what people have advertised you to be, which I'm not surprised that you are. I knew that automatically going into the season that you were going to be deep on the front 4 on the defensive side of the ball. But on offense, you're getting pushed around, guys. You didn't establish the line of scrimmage against South Carolina State. So you think you're going to be able to establish it against a team that is going to punch you in the mouth in Vandy? And guys, I've studied Vandy. Guys, Vanderbilt's offense is the best that they've had in a while. Because you have a great mix of everything involved in it. You have a quarterback that fits your system. Diego Pavia is not going to be a top NFL prospect, but what he is so far on the college level is a good system quarterback. That's the type of guy that you want to fit in your offense, is somebody that's going to run your system effectively and produce. That's what you got in Diego Pavia. You have receivers around you. You have your core three that came back with Junior Sherrill, with Eli Stowers, with Cedric Alexander. Those guys are going to play a big role this weekend whenever they travel to Williams-Brice. And their fan base firmly believes that they can do some damage in the SEC. I wouldn't blame them. Do I agree with them? No. I wouldn't be shocked, though, if it does happen. But it's how you're going to respond is how I'm going to evaluate to adversity. Vandy has been very vocal all week about what they want to do this weekend. They want to establish the line of scrimmage, and they want to run the football. They've got 3 new offensive linemen, all of which have played a key role into how they have been and to how they have dominated the first 2 games. Guys, and the number one thing that we'll talk about when we get to our keys to victory is how you have to be more efficient on offense. You can't accept these 3 and outs on a consistent basis, guys. So get ready, man, because you're going to be in for a very, very tough matchup this weekend. It's not going to be the blowout that you saw last week. It's not. Because this is a Vanderbilt team that is a lot more experienced, and defensively, they can hang around with South Carolina's offensive line. They're going to force Lenoris to stay in the pocket. They're not going to allow him to get outside and make plays with his feet. That's what SC State did. And many of you are going to come at me and say, well, it's just SC State. It was a bad game. Oh, the weather delay was a big thing. All right. I mean, in my opinion, I don't think the weather delay had anything to do with how you performed. Sure, it throws the kickoff time a little bit off. But guys, I've played in weather delayed games. You got to be ready, man. You obviously have to get your mind in the right headspace. And the thing about that is you have to be mentally tough. Right now, I don't think that South Carolina, offensive line-wise, is mentally tough. This is a prove me wrong week for SC. This is an opportunity for them to really set the tone early on how they perform on the offensive line, with how they're going to establish a run game, which you have failed to do despite what you have in the backfield. I mean, if you need any more evidence, just look at 3.5 yards a carry. So you got to help. My boy Scout, who's in the chat over on Instagram, God, dog, we got 3 people that's looking at us on Instagram. Good Lord. Literally how? What? Okay, buddy. Weather delays benefit the home team tremendously, though. Yeah, obviously not to SC. You'd think it would, but it don't matter if you're a home or away program. You got to get your mind right in the right headspace, man. That's really all you got to do. I don't know, dude. I'm with South Carolina. There is no I don't know what's going on in that program right now. I don't know what is going through the offensive line room right now. How pissed off is Lonnie Teasley going to get so that he can realize, guys, a change has to be made? And Shane talked about this in the presser earlier today. Is that you, offensive line-wise, yeah, we're hearing, oh, they had a great first day of practice. Okay, cool. But when you get to this point in the season, you're not doing ones-on-ones. The best that you can do is you're getting a good look at them is during pass pro. You know, when you get into in-game simulations, you're going through 2-minute drill, you're going through you're going through that competition phase, which is only like a period or two. Actually, I think it is just one period throughout the day. And that's really the only looks that you're going to get, because pass pro is like 2 periods. I don't know, man. It's just so out of whack seeing what this program has done. Mark Regal in the comments, Sellers is too coachable. I knew the offense would go like this from Mike Shula's first presser. Dowell was too unimaginative. Shula doesn't want Lenoris to run and has no imagination. Well, I mean, he better dig down into what he did with Cam Newton, dude. Cam Newton was running whenever he won the MVP in 2015. Now, I understand that we're talking about a 10-year difference. So you better get out of that play caller headspace. And look, I'm glad that he's coachable, but I do want Lenoris to take control and check off plays at the line of scrimmage. I don't really see him taking control like he did in the second half of last year. That's a program. That's a personnel issue at that point in time. And look, we've seen it before with draft evals. You have a kid that's going to come in. They're going to a coach is going to draw up a play on the board, and they're going to say, hey, what do you think of this play? And they don't want to hear, oh, I like that. Oh, I like this. Oh, I like that. No, that's not what you want to hear from a guy. Give them your thoughts. Give them your consideration. Tell them, hey, instead of running a drag route across here, knowing that this man is in man-to-man in the slot, why don't we go ahead, run a quick out, and have our X guy run a go so that we can kind of get that little split route, because you got one that's going on that go and you have an out route to the sideline. That's what a coach wants to hear. Hey, this is you checking at the line of scrimmage. You're saying, okay, I got this package that's in from a defense. Hey, they're about to check it off. They're about to flip the formation, etc. This is exactly what you want. This is what helps you with the draft process, guys. Lenoris can't. I don't see Lenoris doing most of that on the field. Boy, Halo Master says, good point, Regal. Sellers is such a great kid. Yeah, he is. He is. The kid turned down $8 million to come back to South Carolina. He'll do what he's told to do, which might be I don't know what that says. Under Shula, not saying Shula is garbage, but fair middling at best. That's where my point is trying to be made, is that you have to take control. This is your team. Look, Shula was an analyst last year, but let's just be honest, guys. Last offseason, you got lazy when it came to hiring. You hired Mike Shula and you brought him up. Now, we've heard about the promotions that you have in staff. And look, Beamer is a great coach. Beamer is a great guy to work under. I'm not taking away that fact. What I am taking away, though, is that you are taking away the opportunities that is in front of Lenoris to develop at the NFL level. I'm glad that he's a coachable kid, but I'm also wanting him to take control. I want him to lead my offense. I want him to be that guy that's going to say, they're going to get into the mic and say, hey, we're going 22 dive, and they're going to say some random ass freaking route. Like X drag, like drag Z wheel counter left or something like that. I don't know. That's the same BS that they put out there. And then we're going to get to the line of scrimmage. We're going to call the play. We're going to look at the line of scrimmage. I'm like, oh, shoot. I got the middle wide open. They're loading the box. Hey, check. And they're going to call like a color or a number, which will signal, hey, you're running a slant or you're running double slants. We're going to take a 2-step drop, get the football out quick. That's what you want in your quarterback. I don't see that right now with Lenoris. Scout says home practice facilities, not as much as change in timing. Most of these teams have a practice facility to practice on during games. I don't think SC attaches to it though. I don't think they do either. I'm not sure. But with that being said, guys, let's go ahead and let's get into our keys to victory for this week. There's a lot. So keys to victory, let's get after it. Number 1, you have to control the time of possession. In the third quarter alone, Vanderbilt held Virginia Tech's offense. You ready for this? To 6 total plays. 3 and out, 3 and out. Guys, you have to control the line of scrimmage. You know what your first couple of drives were? Punt, 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 punt. You could not maintain a drive to save your life. You have to this weekend. You don't have a choice, guys. You have to find that consistency on offense. Or else I'm going to have to hear whenever I get on my live shows, and I'm going to have to hear from the media and say, well, missed expectations again for South Carolina. Or here we go, South Carolina's offensive line. Oh, they didn't do so well. No, really? Really? Y'all are shocked? Y'all are shocked that this is all of a sudden freaking something that you haven't even freaking noticed? Defensively, you got to get off the field on third down. I think you've done well the last 2 weeks. You've been able to put pressure on a mobile quarterback in Kyron Drones. But look, this is a new animal you got to face, man. This is going to be a brand new test that you have in store for you in Diego Pavia. Diego Pavia ain't pulling no punches either, guys. The RPO offense that Tim Beck runs at Vanderbilt is perfect. You have a variety of different options that he has. He is throwing the football more often now, too. He's pretty efficient, too. Halo Master says, weather delay is BS from experience that had no bearing on my frame of mind. Thank you. I'm glad I'm not the only one that says that was BS, because it is. Let's just be real with each other. I mean, you guys, where was I at? RPO game. You can't stack the box on them because you're going to leave the middle open so that Pavia is going to get the football out quick. You can't play zone Actually, I do expect you to play a lot of zone. I expect you to mix up a lot of different coverages. The number one thing, though, is you're probably going to add an extra guy to get pressure and to force Pavia into a lot of potential throwaways. That's what you're eventually going to have to do. Now, will it work? Yeah, I'm sure it will. I trust this front four to get after him. But is it going to be enough? That is the question that I have to ask whenever it comes to what you have planned for this weekend. Because, guys, look, I am very, very adamant on your back seven and how they have performed. I think your corners have gotten picked on a lot. And I think the same is going to be said for when it comes to this weekend. So, guys, don't be surprised if Vandy comes out and pulls some trickery. I think the fourth or fifth play of one of their first drives, they ran a wheel route. They slipped the back out the backfield. There was a mix-up in coverage because they were playing too high shell at the top of the screen. You had two corners and a safety all focused in on one guy, and then the back slipped out of the backfield and ran and was wide freaking open on the wheel route. You can't allow for those little things to affect you and throw you off your game for this weekend. It's going to hurt you, and it's not going to be pretty for you if you cannot defend that. That's the things that are going to get you beat. Guys, you got to get off the field on third down. You've been successful so far doing it. Can you keep it up, though? Number two, you got to control the time of possession. And well, actually, not even that. Offensive line, and this may end up being a key to victory for the rest of the year. Consistency. Find a starting five that you can rely upon. Because I cannot, for the life of me, put all of the weight on Lenoris to make plays consistently. It's not that I don't think he can. It's the fact that your offensive line has basically crumbled, and now he has to scramble, and he's going to put himself into a bigger bind than where they were initially. So with that, here's where I would like for this offensive line to be at. I'm fine with Casey Henry at tackle. To me, he's your best offensive lineman that you have at this current moment. JT is struggling. I would like to see Tree Babaladi play some as well. I do expect for that to be a thing once we get to the game. Shed Surratt and Trevon Ball is going to be your guards. I don't have a problem with that. Boaz Stanley is going to be your center. But guys, if in the depth chart is going to say JT, guys, I'm being real with you. I don't think JT should be starting at this current moment. I think he struggled his first two games. Now, if he has another bad game today, Teasley may end up pulling him. Don't be surprised if that happens. So you have a lot of questions, man. Up front, consistency is going to be key in this one, man. If you don't find bottom line is this: if you don't find a guy that's going to effectively be more of a leader on this offense, then we'll see, man. Number 3. And ultimately, this is probably one of the most important ones. Establish a run game early and often. Last week, when we saw Virginia Tech and Vandy play, what did VT do early on? They were coming up with different opportunities to get the run game involved. They ran for 114 yards, but we'll talk about the other side of it too. Well, this is more of an offensive side of the ball, keys to victory. We'll get to defense. You have to be able to establish your run game. Virginia Tech, early on, they confused them a lot. You got quick yards because BT was going to play quick on Vandy's D. That's essentially what you needed to do and what you are going to do from this point forward. I expect that to be the common theme for South Carolina going forward. Playing quick is going to win you a lot of football games. So, my opinion, you got to take chunk yardage when you can. Mike Shula, guys, disguise your play calls. Quit getting conservative when you get across the 50. Quit going draw plays, back-to-back plays. Use your fullbacks more than just the first play of the game. You've had that for 2 consecutive weeks. Utilize him more often. Please, use your tight ends more. You have been pretty successful getting yards just with little dump out patterns, guys. And look, for those of you that are in here, and for those of you that have been watching this, maybe not this channel, but have been watching South Carolina football over the course of the Beamer era, what has been the number one thing that has irked you whenever it comes to his tenure? I'll give you, y'all can tell me in the comments. Please, I would actually like to know. I want to know what your thoughts are when it comes to this. What is the number one thing that has irked you when it comes to Beamer's tenure here? To me, he's too nice. That's just my opinion. And look, I could be wrong when it comes to this, but just in my opinion, guys, hiring from within has been not a strong suit, especially over this past year. And you look, Beamer is a very likable guy. No question about that. Coaching hires, though, have been questionable at best recently. You know, I know a lot of you didn't like Marcus Satterfield. You got him out of there. You got Dowell Loggins in. That was probably one of your better ones that you had because I thought Dowell Loggins was an in-house hire, but he's an NFL guy. And I think you looked at what Shula did in the NFL, and you're thinking to yourself, okay, well, Dowell's worked around the NFL. Maybe he can do the same thing that he did with that. But, guys, if you look at his overall play calling, and this was something that kind of concerned me at the start of the season, was that it's a system that he has been in. He's an NFL guy, and when you get to the NFL, usually a system quarterback is what you have. And I think that's what Shula has been so used to over the course of his play calling career that it's going to end up affecting younger quarterbacks like Lenore's. Defensively, let's get to that one. Put pressure on Diego Pavia. Do not let him escape outside. Don't let him get to the point where they're going to be dominating up front. And don't allow them, by the way, to run for over 250 yards. Most of which came in the second half, by the way. I think you're going to be good up front. I think you're more aggressive up front than what Vandy has done. I think you're going to have a somewhat better game plan defensively compared to what you had last year, because you've already experienced him once. So you're not just based off of what look he gave you last year. You're also looking at what the 2 games that he's played in and what you need to expect from him. He's going to throw the football a lot, guys. He's throwing the football more often now. He's more efficient. And what is that going to do? That's going to translate into a playbook opening more for Diego, which will create more trickery and more looks that maybe they haven't seen as of late. So we'll see, man. I'm really intrigued to see what Tim Beck does in this offense. But that's my take on this, guys. Let me get to a break real fast. I'm going to tell you guys about our new partners, or not partners, our new friends as well, that we are excited to be with, man. Y'all stay tuned. This is South Carolina Live here at the Voice of College Football.
College football is even more exciting when you've got some action on the line, and the games are even better when you're cashing in. And the Voice of College Football is the place to be to get the greatest value. Start with my picks. 75% against the money line, 58% against the spread, and I've got a 40-plus year track record. 11-0 in the college football playoff for me last year against the money line, 8-3 against the spread. And I'm just the warm-up act. Steve Merrill of Wager Talk is our ace in the hole, show stopper. 7 years with the Voice of College Football, over 30 years in the industry. Steve gives us analysis on all the big games, but you can't miss Steve's weekly under-the-radar pick. 28-12 against the spread the last 3 years. You also get picks from some of our top analysts here at the Voice of College Football, including Corey Bratta, Matt Zemek, and Steve Dace. Check out those numbers. Become a YouTube or Patreon member for just $99 per month. Go to the main channel on YouTube, click join, and then select the betting tier. Do the same thing on Patreon. Make 2025 a winner now.
Want to thank our good friends over at Underdog Fantasy. Go on over. And guys, do me a favor. Whatever you're doing, grab your phone and go on over to underdogfantasy.com or download the Underdog app on your Android or Apple device. Sign up. And when you do sign up, use my promo code VOCFBSC to get yourself a very nice welcome discount. When you bet $5, you get $50 in free bets. Going over and download the Underdog Fantasy app on your Android or iPhone or Apple device. Use my promo code VOCFBSC. And when you play a $5 lineup, you get $50 in free bets. Must be 21 or older, not available in all states. Gambling problem, call 1-800-GAMBLER. That's 1-800-GAMBLER. Continuing on with our Vandy preview, and I did want to kind of pull up the film and discuss this. So, and I thought this was very interesting whenever it came to what Vandy had as a whole. You know, Vanderbilt's biggest thing is, like we've already mentioned many times, is that the RPO game is going to be utilized a lot. And I think that it's going to be something that, honestly, part of me gets concerned whenever it comes to that aspect. But again, man, it's one that – let me check and see what we got here. Let me share my screen. There we go. Let's preview a little bit of film, man. So this is what I'm talking about, is that they're going to fake the jet and they're going to try to get outside. But you know what else they have? You have – usually they'll have a receiver come out and run a route. But they don't have that to this time. You motion the receiver, but it's a good job of containment and scraping across by that backer to force the issue. This is what I'm talking about when we talk about the RPO game. Is that watch this defensive lineman. What he needs to do, he needs to chip off of this back that slips out in motion. If he does that, what do we have? And by the way, man, we need to be containing right here. We don't go after the back ever as a defensive lineman. We maintain quarterback depth. We take quarterback no matter what, because let's say that this guy does take the quarterback. Guess what we have? Now the linebacker has to come in and get a hold of that. Now what do we have? We have our safety. We have a free. We have a backer that's getting blocked. So it's 3 guys against 1. But now that he moves past that, let's say he scrapes down and he actually takes the back. Well, now this is a free guy. That's 1. That's 1. That's 1. But he's about to get blocked. So it's better to have 3 than 2-on-1. But he's able to scrape past that tight end and get the tackle. But that's just little situations that you really have to take into consideration whenever it comes to prepping for a team like this, because you're going to get a lot of different looks from that offense. You're not really going to know with what to expect. Eli Stowers is going to get targeted a lot on Saturday. You're going to see a lot of motion too. Rollouts. This is what we're talking about. If you can play zone, this corner is a little late reading this, but this should be a pick if you're South Carolina. If you can jump that route. I had a really good opportunity to do so too. But this is where the experience factor comes into play for SC, and the veteran experience comes into play. Is that your secondary is a lot better compared to VT's. Now we'll see what happens, because there are some injury concerns. I don't know what Cisse is going to look like. Judge Collier, from what we're hearing, should be back this week. So I am really excited to see that after he missed last week and after 8 or 9 snaps in the game against VT. See, this is where we need to be better with this. This is where we need to cross face. We need to follow our guard. We can't go inside right here. We're going to absorb a double team and we're going to get sandwiched. You know what that creates is that this tight end is going to come around and kick this backer out. That pulling guard, really that's a pulling tackle is going to kick out this defensive end unless he scrapes down. So you're going to hit the hole with him, who's going to probably play outside. And now with that, he has a clear hole. You get a free blocker. Is that Diego carrying it? Oh, you slipped the back out. You have a lead blocker there then. So now it's once you have that, that's whenever this safety has to come down and get help. It generates yardage, dude. I don't think this is the wheel route. This is just a bad throw from Diego. This is what I'm talking about, though. When you put pressure on Pavia, he makes mistakes. What did you do? You went into Cougar, and you pretty much forced him to roll out. Good move by Ben Ball. Forces a pick. Very, very, very good play. Now let me see if I can't get to the wheel route. And I think this is it. Here we go. This is the wheel route I think I was talking to you guys about. It's either this one or the next play. It's like one of the very first plays of the second quarter. Yep, that's it. There we go. So this is what I'm talking about whenever it comes to losing sight of your adjustments. You're in cover one. Yeah, you're in two. You're in one high. So you have zone, 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 and then you have a corner that walks down. 3, 1. One defensive, one linebacker in the middle of the field. You have 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6 safeties or 6 DBs on the field. We're focused on the quarterback size. He's going to look to that at go route, and then he's going to come right back to this wheel route out the backfield, and it's going to be wide open. Ain't nobody within 10 freaking yards of him. That's where we're wrong. Bang. Touchdown. There is another play I wanted to look at. I'll see if I have it. I think this is it. Skip to the 13-minute mark. This is another one. Now we get a different look when we go trips right. I think we're going to get a mesh. Nope, we're going to get a fade. Did he catch? No, I thought he caught that for a minute. This is where you turned it on in the second half. This is when you started playing the time of possession game. You wore the play clock down, and you could not get the defense off the field to save your life. This is where Vandy had a lot of success in the red zone, is when you saw things like that. Empty it out. We're going to run that same fade pattern again. This time we're going to get a much better ball thrown, and we're going to get a touchdown. That's a good way to end off our film session from Diego at this point in time. So that's ultimately what you're going to see. And to be for real with you guys, there is not really a lot that's new whenever it comes to Vandy. It's the same system. You just got a lot more experience. Can you finally get it done, though? Because this would be a massive win for you. Offensive line-wise, Find the consistency, then I can finally get you a nice grade, which you need. You need a win this weekend, man. You got to put confidence back in this system, confidence back in the fan base. I've heard a lot of you out there already, man, and you guys are rightfully frustrated. I don't blame you. I don't blame you one bit. So, bottom line is this, guys. If you find consistency, you're going to have success. If you don't, you're going to get put in a worse bind than you already have been recently. That's the ultimate thing that you have to do whenever it comes to this South Carolina program. Offensive line-wise, dominate the front. Defensive line, continue to do what you've been doing all season long and continue to put pressure on Diego Pavia. Y'all have a great rest of the night, guys. Thank you so much for tuning in to South Carolina Live. We will see you all on Friday for our call-in show. We'll have a lot. We'll take your calls. We'll take your comments. We'll take your questions. Take your super chats. So we got a lot to break down this weekend, man. And then obviously Saturday post-game show. Then we back at it again next Monday. So or next Tuesday, I should say. But guys, y'all have a great rest of the night. Be safe. Don't be drinking, no driving, any of that crazy crap. But stay blessed. Don't stress. Y'all have a great rest of the week.